Alright, just in case anything wasn't clear earlier today with the supine lecture, I want to go back over this. So remember, supines are formed based on your fourth principal part. The accusative supine will be identical to the fourth principal part in the neuter gender. So, for example, take a look at a first conjugation verb with laudatum. You simply retain laudatum as the accusative supine. And then to form the ablative supine, just treat it as though it were a fourth conjugation noun with an ablative in that long U. The other way you can think of this is cutting off the M and making that U long. Right? And that's going to hold true for all of your supines. Notice the fourth principal part of the second conjugation verb, videre videre, is visum. You have visum in the accusative, visu in the ablative. Dico dicere, you have fourth principal part in dictum, so then you have dictum as the accusative, and then dictu in the ablative, and then finally auditum, note you have auditum and auditu. Sorry, I realize now that those should have been colored purple for this. So, check out some of the uses of these. The accusative supine uses are almost always confined to verbs of motion, and generally that will be with a form of ire. You might remember eo, ire, ivi, itum, or venire, venio, venire, veni, ventum. Note that you'll use one of these forms of the verb. Alternatively, you might have a compound form, as you do right here, convenerunt. Note that your simple form of the verb doesn't have con in here. It's simply venerunt, but convenerunt, they came together. So accusative supines will express purpose with these verbs of motion. So legati, the lieutenants or the ambassadors, convenerunt, they came together, gratulatum, to congratulate. They came to Caesar to congratulate him. All right, ad Caesarem. Here, spectatum veniunt, you don't have a subject expressed, but veniunt, you notice, is third person plural. So they come spectatum, to see or to watch. Galli, these are roosters. Cum sole eunt cubitum. Right, eunt, they go. So the roosters go cubitum, to bed, cum sole, with the sun. Right, in other words, they hit the hay at sunset. The ablative supine uses are almost always confined to some sort of adjective, and usually the adjective has to do with it being easy or difficult to do something, or something is easy or difficult in some particular way. Or alternatively, they'll occasionally have forms with necessary and similar such. That's not the only uses, but by and large, that's what you'll see. You'll also see mirabile, marvelous. So take a look at this one. We reviewed this one in class, and I modified it a little bit from the accusative statement it used to be. So you could say, era res, it was a thing, non modo visu foida sed etiam auditu. So it was foida, it was shameful, non modo visu, not only in seeing, in other words, not only to see, sed etiam auditu, but also in hearing, in other words, to hear, right? Quaerunt, they seek or they ask, quid optimum factu sit, what they ask what would be best to do, or literally in respect of doing, right? And then here, si hoc fas est dictu, if this is right, dictu, in saying, in other words, to say. All right, take a look at the passage from the book to review this a little bit more. So if you look here, you might remember that the tabellarius, he's saying, hey, you, janitor, why don't you let me in, blah, blah, blah. Do you think that I'm an enemy? And then he says, ego non venio. Watch out here. You've got that verb of motion. I do not come oppugnatum, to attack. And then that takes a direct object of villa. Right? I do not come to attack the villa, sicut hostis, like an enemy, nec pecuniam postulatum venio, nor venio do I come postulatum, to ask for or to demand pecuniam. All right? So there's a couple of the accusative uses of purpose with verbs of motion. And then for some ablative uses, take a look at here. You have the tabellarius says, nomen meum, my name, non est facile dictu, it is not easy dictu, to say. Notice that that's from your dico, dicere, dixi, dictum. Not easy to say. Tlepolemus nominor. I am called Tlepolemus. And then the Janitor is a little bit confused by this. He says, Quid dicis Cleopolemus? Vox tua, your voice, difficilis est auditu, is difficult auditu, in hearing, or to hear. Quod fores intersunt, because the doors are in the way, or in between us. And then if you look down here, remember that the eros is another word for the dominus. So the Janitor tells him, Si venis, if you come, note right here, verb of motion, if you come salutatum with an accusative supine, if you come to salute or to greet the master, right, melius est, it is better, venire, to come, alio tempore, at another time. Note right there that that's your ablative expression of time when. So you have ablative of time when right there. Nam, for, hac hora, right here, you have, again, an ablative expression of time when. For at this hour, eros meos, my master, dormitum ire solet. Here he is accustomed, solet. Ire, you've got a verb of motion with an accusative supine, to go to sleep. Post brevem somnum, after a brief time, exhibit, he will go out. And notice again, verb of motion. This is compounded from ex and eo. He will go out ambulatum, to walk. Deinde, then, ibit, again, future form of eo ire, he will go lavatum, to wash. All right, hopefully that was helpful. The word helpful is apparently difficile dictu for me. Ask me if you have any questions in class.